For thousands of years, the galaxy looked at humanity and saw nothing to fear. They saw a young race, a people who spoke politely, traded fairly, and avoided every major war. While alien empires rose and fell, humans stayed quiet. While others fought for territory, humans built stations at the edges, far from the center of power. To the galaxy, humans were not predators. They were dreamers, builders, and watchers. But this was a mistake. The truth of humanity was hidden deep inside their history. Earth was once a battlefield of endless wars. Entire nations were broken, rebuilt, and broken again. Weapons were created not for survival alone, but for dominance. On their homeworld, humans fought not just enemies, but the planet itself, storms, plagues, hunger, and cold nights that killed without mercy. This past shaped them. They learned how to wait, how to strike at the right moment, and how to keep their claws hidden until the prey no longer saw them coming. The galaxy did not know this. All they saw was patience. When humans entered the Great Star Council, they bowed politely. They accepted minor trade routes and never demanded more. When insulted, they smiled. When pushed aside, they simply stepped back. To the other races, it looked like weakness. Some alien diplomats laughed. "Humans have no teeth," they said. "They are too peaceful." But predators know how to wait. In secret, humanity was not sleeping. Every station, every moon colony, every small fleet they built carried more than trade goods. Deep below the surface, hidden under layers of quiet research, they prepared. Old warships were refitted with new technology. Generations of scientists worked on weapons no alien had ever seen. Soldiers trained not with pride, but with silence, waiting for a day that might come. Humanity was never peaceful. Humanity was patient. The galaxy never saw the warning signs. When humans mapped the outer stars, they called it exploration. When they built long-range carriers, they called it defense. Even when they built hidden stations filled with advanced technology, they called it research. Every word was chosen to keep the galaxy calm. And the galaxy believed them, but not everyone was blind. Some alien historians studied humanity's past wars. They saw patterns that others ignored. They read about the world wars, the nuclear fire, the endless battles across deserts, jungles, seas, and skies. One alien scholar whispered to his people, "These humans are not gentle. They are survivors. Survivors can become predators when pushed." But no one listened. The council dismissed him. The galaxy kept laughing. On Earth itself, children grew up with old stories. Not of peace, but of struggle. They learned about warriors who fought against impossible odds, about hunters who tracked prey for days, about soldiers who stood against enemies many times stronger. The stories were told not with pride, but with warning. Humans knew their own nature. They knew the truth that the galaxy had not yet seen. In the shadows of space, fleets of ships waited like wolves in the dark. Silent, hidden, always ready. Humanity did not want war, but they never forgot it. And this patience, the ability to hide strength, to smile while sharpening blades, was what made them dangerous. The galaxy thought humans were a soft species, but they never noticed how humans watched everything. In council meetings, they listened quietly. In trade, they studied carefully. Every insult was remembered. Every betrayal was recorded. Humans forgot nothing. They built their patience into a weapon sharper than any blade, and one day the galaxy would learn. It started with a scar. Not a scar on flesh, but on memory. A human ship discovered an old battlefield in deep space, wrecks of alien warships that once fought centuries ago. Most species saw ruins and nothing more. But humans looked at it like hunters studying the bones of prey. They took the wrecks, they studied the tactics, they rebuilt the weapons in secret. What others abandoned, humans turned into lessons. Whispers spread among alien traders. They spoke of human fleets moving in strange patterns. They spoke of strange drills, of soldiers who trained for wars that did not exist. But every time the council asked, humans smiled. They said, "We only want peace." The lie was perfect, because patience is not weakness. It is the strength of a predator waiting for the perfect strike. The galaxy kept ignoring the signs. Empires argued among themselves, fighting small border wars, mocking humans for their quiet ways. They did not see the sharpness hidden under the smile. They did not see the steel inside the silence. Humanity waited while the galaxy laughed, waited while empires crumbled and rebuilt, waited while insults piled higher and higher. They were not peaceful. They were only silent hunters in the dark. And soon, the galaxy would make the mistake of waking them. The first mistake. The galaxy had always underestimated humanity, and for a long time, that mistake had no cost. Humans stayed quiet, almost invisible among the stars. They obeyed the rules of the Council. They accepted insults without protest, and they allowed themselves to be overlooked. It gave everyone a false sense of security. But patience is only patience until someone pushes too far. That was when it became something else. The first mistake came from the Zorath Empire, a proud and ancient species with fleets larger than entire human colonies combined. The Zorath had always considered themselves superior. They saw humans as nothing more than workers, useful for trade and nothing else. When human merchants entered their space, the Zorath treated them with arrogance. They taxed them unfairly, humiliated their captains, and sometimes even seized ships without reason. For decades, humanity stayed calm. They paid the unfair taxes. They swallowed the humiliation. They never raised their voice. But the Zorath went one step too far. One day, a human colony transport was seized by a Zorath patrol. It was not a warship. It was not even carrying soldiers. It was a ship filled with families, children, workers, and old men heading to settle a new colony world. The Zorath commander accused them of spying. Without trial, without warning, the entire ship vanished. The galaxy later learned that everyone on board was executed. The council shook their heads and whispered, "A tragedy." But humans are weak. They will move on, the Zorath laughed. To them, it was nothing but a small warning to remind humans of their place. But to humanity, this was the line. The insult had cut too deep. For the first time in centuries, the quiet predator stirred. Humans did not declare war. That was not their way. Instead, they sent envoys to the council demanding justice. They asked for trials, for punishment against the Zorath. The council did nothing. They argued that the Zorath Empire was too powerful, too important to anger. The humans were told to accept the loss and move forward. To the galaxy, this was the end of the matter, but to humans, this was the beginning. In secret, something changed. The quiet patience that had lasted generations now sharpened into focus. Military fleets began to move in silence. Long-range carriers left their hidden docks. Research stations shifted from study to production. Soldiers who had trained in silence for decades were activated. Humanity had no intention of announcing their anger. Instead, they chose to wait again. But this time, for the right moment to strike, the Zorath noticed small changes, but they dismissed them. A few human ships vanished from trade routes. A few colonies began to restrict outsiders. To the Zorath, these were signs of fear, not strength. They mocked humans once more. The prey hides when the predator shows its teeth, they told each other. What they did not realize was that humanity was not prey. The first response came quietly. One Zorath patrol vanished near human space. No distress signal, no wreckage, just silence. Weeks later, another disappeared. Again, no trace. At first, the Zorath laughed. They blamed pirates or accidents in deep space. But then, the disappearances increased. Patrol fleets of 20 ships went missing without a single survivor. Carriers vanished as if swallowed by the void. The Zorath began to whisper among themselves, "This is not chance. Someone is hunting us." Still, they did not believe it was the humans. How could the quiet, weak humans destroy entire fleets? They searched for other enemies, other empires to blame. But in the shadows, humanity kept moving. Every strike was precise, every trap perfect. They left no survivors, no evidence. The galaxy had thought humans were weak because they never fought. They were about to learn that patience had given humans something more dangerous than strength. It had given them time. Alien traders began to notice. They whispered in spaceports, "Human ships move like ghosts." Others said, "Do not enter their systems. Ships that go in never come out." The council tried to silence the rumors, but fear spreads faster than truth. Soon, even the proud Zorath began to feel unease. And then it happened. One Zorath flagship, a vessel larger than any human carrier, returned from patrol. But when it entered dock, the crew was gone. Every system was intact, every weapon untouched, but not a single soul remained alive. The Zorath searched the ship and found only one thing: a message carved into the captain's chair in human script. "Patience is over." The galaxy shivered. This was not the action of prey. This was the first sign of the predator they had ignored for too long. Humanity had been patient, but patience had run dry. The first mistake had been made. The galaxy was about to see the consequences. The galaxy had laughed at humanity for too long. They had called them weak, harmless, peaceful. But now the laughter was gone. Rumors spread like fire. Patrol fleets vanished, colonies whispered of human warships in the shadows, and the Zorath Empire trembled for the first time in centuries. Still, most of the council refused to believe it. They told themselves that humans could not be responsible. It had to be pirates, rebels, or some hidden empire. Surely the quiet race of Earth could never do this. But then the unmasking began. It started small, with a single broadcast. Across dozens of systems, comms were hijacked. Screens in markets, temples, and military halls turned black, then lit up with a single image: a human warship sliding out of the shadows of space. Its design was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. It carried the scars of old ships, yet every line and weapon glowed with deadly new technology. For the first time, the galaxy saw what humanity had been building in silence. The message was short, spoken in calm human voices. "We asked for justice. You refused. Now we take it." The galaxy froze. No one had imagined this. For centuries, humans had played the role of quiet traders and explorers. But now they revealed a fleet hidden for generations. Ships that had never appeared on council records. Weapons the galaxy could not even name. Entire armadas that seemed to rise from nowhere, fully prepared, as if waiting for this very day. The illusion of weakness was broken. The mask was gone. Humanity was showing its true face. The Zorath sent their fleets in response, arrogant and proud. Hundreds of warships moved toward human space. They expected an easy victory, one that would remind humans of their place. But when the fleets entered the void near the colony world of Vera, the trap was waiting. Human warships did not attack like ordinary fleets. They moved like hunters. They struck from the dark, cutting communications first, then tearing apart supply ships, then dismantling escorts piece by piece. The Zorath commanders tried to regroup, but every time they formed ranks, humans vanished into shadow. When the Zorath pushed forward, they were met with precision fire that tore through their strongest shields. The battle lasted less than 2 days. When it ended, nothing remained of the Zorath fleet. Human ships drifted silently among the wreckage, scanning for survivors. There were none. The predators had left no prey alive. News of the slaughter spread across the galaxy. No one could deny it now. The humans had unmasked themselves. They were not peaceful. They were patient predators who had waited for centuries to show their teeth. The council met in emergency session. Some demanded humanity be destroyed before it was too late. Others argued that war would only bring more death. But no one could agree, because deep inside, every empire felt the same fear. If humanity had been hiding this much power, what else were they hiding? On Earth, the mood was different. There were no celebrations, no cheers of victory. The people remembered the lost families on the colony ship, and they remembered the insults and betrayals. For them, this was not conquest. This was justice. Humanity did not roar in triumph. They hunted in silence. But the unmasking did not end with fleets. It spread into every corner of the galaxy. Traders who once saw humans as weak now saw them with fear. Alien captains whispered that a human smile was no longer a comfort. It was a warning. Colonies closed their gates when human patrols passed by. Whole empires reconsidered their alliances, wondering if they were next. And still, the humans did not speak much. Their fleets moved quietly. Their leaders gave few speeches. They did not announce an empire, nor demand control. They simply hunted the Zorath wherever they found them. Patrol by patrol, fleet by fleet, colony by colony, the predators cut their prey down. The Zorath, once proud, begged the council for help. But even the strongest allies hesitated. They feared that joining the fight would only put humanity's focus on them. So the galaxy watched in silence as an empire was slowly torn apart. In the ruins of Zorath strongholds, human soldiers left no banners, no messages, only silence. The galaxy expected arrogance, but instead they saw something worse: cold patience. This was not rage. This was not war for glory. This was the hunt. And in that silence, the galaxy realized something chilling. Humans were not fighting to prove themselves. They were not even fighting to rise in power. They were fighting because a line had been crossed. The message was simple and terrifying. Do not mistake our patience for peace. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy felt small. They had seen many predators, many empires rise and fall, but never one like this. Never one that could hide so perfectly, wait so long, and strike so precisely. Humanity had unmasked itself, and the truth was clear. They were not the weakest race. They were the most dangerous, and the galaxy wondered in fear, if this was only the beginning, what would the end look like? The fall of the Zorath fleets was not just a victory for humanity. It was a warning to the entire galaxy. Everyone had seen wars before, but never like this. Empires usually fought with loud speeches, banners, and declarations. Humans did none of that. They hunted. Their silence was louder than any threat. The galaxy expected humans to celebrate their victories, to demand land, or to claim seats of power. But humanity did not act like conquerors. After every battle, they simply vanished back into the dark. They left wreckage and silence. They never boasted. They never asked for surrender. They did not even bother to announce war. To the galaxy, this was terrifying. For a predator that does not roar is harder to fight. The council gathered again, desperate to understand. What do they want? One alien leader asked. Territory? Power? Tribute? But no human diplomat gave a clear answer. They spoke only in calm words, repeating the same line. We remember. We do not forget. It was not a demand. It was a lesson. The lesson became clear in the weeks that followed. Human fleets did not attack at random. They struck with purpose. They chose targets with careful patience. Supply routes first, then fuel stations, then weapons factories. They cut the Zorath not with a sword, but with 1,000 knives. Piece by piece, they made the empire bleed. Other empires watched with fear. Some tried to study the battles, to learn human tactics. But the more they studied, the more afraid they became. Humans fought differently. They used silence as a weapon. They let enemies make the first move, then turned it against them. A single human carrier could vanish into the shadows, only to reappear where no one expected. Fleets moved as if they were one mind, anticipating traps, predicting attacks, always staying one step ahead. It was not war. It was hunting. One battle in particular became legend. A Zorath fleet of 80 ships cornered a smaller human force near the Rim Nebula. On paper, it was an easy victory. The Zorath commanders laughed, certain of triumph. But as they advanced, the nebula came alive. Hidden mines detonated in perfect sequence. Asteroids shifted, revealed as human-controlled weapons. Human ships struck from every angle, using the storm of the nebula itself as cover. In less than 6 hours, the Zorath fleet was destroyed. Not one human ship was lost. When the news reached the galaxy, the lesson was complete. The humans had shown that patience was not weakness. It was strength. It was the art of predators who could wait, watch, and strike at the perfect moment. The galaxy whispered new words now. They are not peaceful. They are patient. Impatience makes them dangerous. The Zorath tried to send peace offers. They begged for negotiations. But humanity did not answer. They had no interest in words anymore. Their silence was the answer. The more the Zorath begged, the more human fleets hunted. Other empires began to tremble. If humans could destroy the Zorath so quickly, what could stop them from doing the same to others? Some leaders ordered their fleets to retreat from human borders. Others quietly destroyed old records of insults or betrayals against humans, afraid that those memories might be used as reasons for the next hunt. But humanity's lesson was not just for the Zorath. It was for everyone. They showed the galaxy that patience could outlast arrogance, that silence could outmatch pride, and that a predator waiting in the dark was more terrifying than any empire roaring in the light. On Earth, the people did not speak of conquest. They spoke of justice. They remembered the lost colony families, the insults ignored for centuries, the patience stretched too far. For them, every battle was not about power, but about proving a truth. Humanity was never prey. Alien historians began to rewrite their records. For centuries, they had called humans peaceful. Now they used a new word, patient predators. They warned their leaders, do not test them. Do not mistake the quiet smile for weakness. For when humans move, it is already too late. And still humanity did not boast. They did not build monuments or sing songs of victory. They simply prepared for the next strike. The silence was endless, and in that silence every empire felt fear grow. The lesson was complete. Peace is a mask. Patience is a weapon. And humanity had shown the galaxy both. But the greatest fear was not the battles already fought. The greatest fear was the unknown. If this was what humans could do after one insult, what would they do if the entire galaxy became their enemy? No one wanted to find out. The day of fear, the Zorath Empire was gone. Not in a blaze of glory, not with heroic speeches, but in silence. Their fleets had been hunted, their colonies erased, their pride broken. And when the last Zorath world fell, humanity did not celebrate. They did not broadcast victory. They did not claim the Empire's throne. They simply left behind ruins and quiet space. The galaxy had seen empires die before, but never like this. The fall of the Zorath was not a war, it was an extermination. And the most frightening part was that humanity had done it with calm precision. No rage, no chaos. Just cold patience, carried out step by step, as if the hunt had been planned for centuries. The galaxy now lived in fear. On every alien world, children whispered human stories at night. Do not anger them, they said. Do not wake the hunters. Traders looked over their shoulders when humans entered their markets. Diplomats forced smiles when humans walked into council chambers. Even the strongest fleets of the other empires no longer felt safe. For they knew that in the shadows, human eyes were always watching. The council called an emergency summit, the largest in centuries. Leaders from every empire gathered, desperate to decide how to deal with the humans. Some demanded war, claiming that if the galaxy united, humanity could still be destroyed. But their voices were weak, for everyone knew the truth. If humanity had hidden so much strength already, how much more were they hiding still? What traps waited in the dark? What weapons had not yet been shown? Others argued for peace. They begged to offer humans anything, trade, treaties, even tribute, just to keep them calm. But this too felt dangerous, because no one knew what humanity wanted. When asked, the human ambassador spoke only one line, the same line repeated across every system: do not mistake our patience for peace. It was not a demand. It was not even a warning. It was a truth, spoken with terrifying calm. The galaxy realized something that night. Humanity was not a rising empire hungry for power. They were not conquerors seeking glory. They were predators waiting for prey to cross the line. And when that line was crossed, there was no going back. Stories spread quickly. A single human fleet parked itself near the borders of another empire, not attacking, not moving, only waiting. The empire surrendered half its systems without a fight, terrified of being the next lesson. Another empire erased centuries of insults from their archives, destroying every record of their arrogance toward humans. They hoped that if humanity did not remember, they might be safe. But everyone knew the truth. Humans forget nothing. On Earth, people continued their lives as if nothing had changed. Children went to school. Workers built ships. Farmers grew crops. But under it all, there was a silence that stretched across the stars. Humanity did not roar. They did not need to. The galaxy now carried their voice for them. For the first time in history, the galaxy lived under the shadow of a species that did not seek to rule, but could destroy any who tested them. It was not empire. It was not conquest. It was fear, and that fear became the new law of the stars. The lesson of humanity was now carved into every alien mind. Patience is not weakness. Silence is not peace. Behind every smile, behind every quiet word, there are teeth waiting. In hidden places, alien scholars whispered the final truth. We thought humans were peaceful. We were wrong. They were only waiting. They were predators from the beginning. And across the stars, in the dark corners of the galaxy, the hunters watched, silent, patient, waiting again, because patience never ends. And the galaxy knew with absolute certainty, if another mistake was made, if another insult was given, then the day of fear would come again.